This is ADHD in marriage explained in 11 minutes. And if you've ever felt confused, frustrated, or just completely out of sync with your spouse, this is going to make a lot of things finally click. Because what looks like carelessness, disinterest, or even avoidance is often something completely different. And once you see what's really going on day to day, it changes how you respond, how you communicate, and how connected you feel with each other. I could talk about this for a long time. If you have ADHD, you might be familiar with the phrases time blindness, object permanence, rejection sensitivity, emotional permanence, and the need to be flexible and adventurous, but also routine. We could make a video on each of one of these things, but for now, we're going to have a quick highlight overall. If you're new here, I'm Lori. I have ADHD. And when we talk about this is not theory. This is what our day-to-day is actually like for over 23 years of marriage.
And I'm Ryan. I'm on the autistic spectrum. And a lot of what we talk about here comes from trying to figure out how to actually make a relationship work when our brains don't operate the same way. We've had to adjust a lot of things we thought were normal and realize they weren't working for how we're wired. Now, the first way that ADHD impacts a marriage relationship is time blindness. And I did not understand this at the beginning at all. So from my side, I'd be looking at the clock thinking she's late again. Why isn't she here? Or I try to talk to her and get nothing back. And I felt like I wasn't being prioritized. But what I learned is when Lori is focused, she's not ignoring me. She's locked in. This is where the very best thinking can happen. And she might as well have a do not disturb sign across her forehead. And if I jump in at the wrong time, I'm not helping. I'm pulling her out of something she may not be able to get back into. So instead of interrupting, I give a heads up. When you're done, I like to talk about fill in the blank, or I just wait. That one shift reduced a lot of friction. If you're listening to this and this feels familiar, but you can't quite explain what's going on, we actually put together a simple relationship tension quiz that helps you see the pattern causing friction in your relationship and how to fix it so you're not just guessing. You can find that in the link in the description below.
When I'm focused, time flies. My hearing becomes selective and seems to turn off. I don't always register what's going on around me when I know I'm in the comfort of my own home. I also often misjudge how long it takes for me to complete tasks. And if I don't finish what I'm doing, it's not just the bother of being interrupted, it's actually much harder to come back to it later. I set alarms and establish routines to help me, but being interrupted mid-focus, that's where things start to fall apart, and I feel stressed. Have you ever had something disrupted mid-process and then lose your train of thought, or your process falls apart, even if it's a regular task?
The second way that ADHD impacts a marriage relationship shows up in something that caused way more tension than it should. Where things in the house should be put. I like things clean, organized, and put away. So I would come along and clean up thinking I was helping. But what I didn't understand was I was disrupting her system.
I leave things out on purpose sometimes, not because I like clutter, but because I'm planning on using it soon-ish. Again, if I don't see it, I forget it exists. And when something gets put away, I don't just lose the item, I lose the task connected to it. So I'd be standing there thinking, where did that go? Did I forget something? I can feel like I'm losing my mind, but often someone else puts it away for me before I'm ready. If I start putting Ryan's tools away while he was working in the car just because I thought the garage looked messy, I'm pretty sure he'd lose his mind too.
Yeah, I would. So now most of the time I ask before I move anything, and that one habit removed a lot of tension.
And I try not to get emotionally charged or oversensitive when he asks if he can put away my messes. He genuinely just wants to know.
The third way that ADHD impacts a marriage relationship explains a lot of arguments that don't seem to make sense in the moment, and that is burnout. Lori's day as a teacher is intense. Constant simulation, constant decision-making, and constant people managing. So when she comes home, her capacity is gone.
When I'm home, I know I'm still the mom, but I don't want to make any more decisions. I don't want more unnecessary demands placed on me, and I don't want more input. I need to destimulate. I need to regulate. And if I don't get that time, my incredible patience reaches the end of a fuse very quickly.
And early on, I didn't understand that I would try to talk, solve things, bring up tasks, and it would go sideways fast. So now when she comes home, it's simple. Quick hello, a healthy meal, a clean space, and quiet time. And even things like date nights, we actually plan them ahead of time, not because we have to, but because if we don't have the energy for when the time comes.
The courtesy my family can show because he works from home is appreciated, but it is no less than what I would have shown Ryan at times when he was in the office and coming home. Minus perhaps the tidy house, as grace was given for very busy little kids.
The fourth way that ADHD impacts a marriage is how connection actually works.
If I don't feel seen regularly, I can start to feel disconnected very quickly. Not big gestures, although those are sometimes nice, but it's the little things, just checking in, talking for a minute, him letting me know that he sees me. If that's not there consistently, it fades. I don't choose to disconnect, it just happens.
And being on the autistic spectrum, my default is to go into my own space. I like my routines, my projects, my own focuses. So what would happen is I thought everything was fine, but she was starting to feel alone. So now I build in touch points, short conversations, checking in and acknowledging what she's doing. Big grand gestures don't mean a thing unless you take small efforts to just show up regularly. Now, here's where I want to share something that really woke me up, because this is the part I didn't see coming. And it connects back to that pattern I mentioned earlier. There was a stretch where I was spending more time in my own space, doing my own things, thinking everything was fine because we weren't arguing. But we also weren't really connected anymore. And one day I realized something felt off. There was tension, but there also wasn't connection. And I felt like we were just existing in the same space.
And over time, I became disconnected. And when I felt that way, I didn't reach out. I didn't try to fix it, and that distance grows.
But that was the moment I realized you don't lose connection all at once. You lose it in small moments that don't seem important at the time. And you can't fix that with one big gesture. You fix it with consistent small connections. And that changed how I approached everything. And if you're in that place where things feel a bit off, not broken, but not connected either, we put together a really simple check-in you can use to reconnect. It's called Reconnect in 10 Minutes Tonight, and it walks you through exactly what to say and how to do it. You can find that in the description as well. The fifth way that ADHD impacts a marriage relationship explains why things can escalate quickly, even when it seems small.
This is something that took me a long time to understand about myself. It's called rejection sensitivity. I take things a lot more personally than it might look on the surface. When you've been spending years feeling like you're not doing the right thing or not doing enough, even small comments can feel like a big hit. So something that feels minor to one person can feel very personal to the other.
And I had to learn this the hard way because I value clarity and precision. So I would correct things, not to criticize, but just to be accurate. But what that felt like to her was something very different. So I had to change how I respond. So now when those moments happen and things come out strongly from her, I don't jump in and push back right away. I listen and I let it come out. And I focus on understanding instead of being right.
And from my side, I had to learn how to pause. Sometimes writing things out or processing things before reacting. Because if I react immediately, it usually was not helpful.
And when both of those things changed, arguments stopped being battles and started becoming something we could actually work through. Now, the sixth way that ADHD impacts a marriage relationship is understanding that we're wired differently when it comes to routine and change. I like repetition. If something works, I'll keep doing it the same way.
And I'm sort of the opposite. I need variety. I need change, and I like doing things differently just to change it up. But I also need routine and schedule. So instead of trying to force one way, we had to make space for both.
So let me ask you something. What's one situation in your relationship where you felt completely misunderstood, but later realized something else is actually going on underneath? Drop it in the comments below. If you take anything from this, it's this. The pattern of small disconnections building up over time. It wasn't about one issue. It was about small moments adding up. A lot of what creates frustration in an ADHD marriage isn't intentional.
It's a mismatch of how your brain processes the same situation.
And when you start understanding that, you stop fighting each other and start adjusting how you work together. Before you jump to the next video, if you're still trying to figure out what's actually going on in your relationship, That's exactly why we made the quiz. They'll point you to the specific pattern that's creating friction and give you a clearer place to start to fix it. You can find that in the description. And now that you can see what ADHD in marriage actually looks like day to day, you might be wondering how all of this shows up across communication, conflict, alone time, and just how you function together as a couple, including if you have autism in the mix. That's exactly what we break down in this next video here. So watch that one here, because when you combine what you just learned with what we cover there, it gives you a much clearer picture of what's actually happening between you and how to handle it in a way that actually works.
Thank you for watching. And remember, even neurodivergent couples can make healthy relationships work.